Okay, I'm
gonna call the meeting to order.
okay.
Donna, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I don't have a flag here, but I'm going to pretend like we have the best flag in the world.
Yes.
Ready?
We'll have a flag on
There
the
it is.
screen.
It's on the computer.
You got the
Thank
flag
you.
there.
Thank you. Thank you. Ready? Begin. I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
to the flag
of
of the United States of America
and
to the republic
which
which stands one
One
nation
under
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
liberty and justice for all.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you.
Roll call. Dennis Bender,
Here.
Donna Davis,
Here.
Maria Okpara, yes. Rick Raleigh,
Here.
Wilson So.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay. Kylie, do we have any public comments?
We have no public comments at this time.
Okay. We have recognition of Miss Donna Davis. Are we doing it now or later?
We're going to do it now.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
We'll do it both times.
okay. All right.
One moment, I'm going to get that pulled up and prepared. Just hang tight.
Yeah, okay.
Hey.
Hey, I don't even recognize you.
See? I see you, Rick.
You guys hear her?
No,
No.
We don't have sound. Kylie, I think you're muted.
There you go. No?
Kylie, say something.
she's muted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Today we honor Ms. Donna
There we
Davis
go. There we go.
for 4 years as an Apple Valley Unified School District board member. Today marks the end of her second term and 8 years of service. Although our meeting is virtual, I wanted to do this presentation in front of the other trustees, even if it can only be their pictures. We wanted to be accurate with our information, so we reached out to Victory Union High School District and personnel specialist, Ms. Adriana Jones, who shared she was with Victory Union High School District when Ms. Donna Mary Davis retired. She asked that we say hello from her.
Mm.
Davis began her teaching in September of 1973 with the Victory Union High School District. She was fondly recalled during our board meetings teaching on this very property, Apple Valley Junior High, prior to Apple Valley becoming a unified school district. She has shared wonderful stories about some of our most prominent Apple Valley citizens and how she taught them or disciplined them during those early years. But I will keep their anonymity for this presentation. Mrs. Davis retired on June 30th, 2001, after 38 years of serving as a teacher and union president. Many people who retire from education fail at retirement, so it is no surprise that less than a year later, she was filing candidacy papers and was later elected to the Apple Valley Unified School District Board of Trustees, serving her first term from 2012 to 2016. She was re-elected for her second term in 2016. During her terms, she has served as the board clerk and board president twice. It is customary in Apple Valley Unified School District to honor the board president at the end of their year of service in that role. I would like to present Mrs. Davis with this plaque. For service as this last year's board president. Maybe you can use it as a doorstop in your motorhome, as you do like people who are good at retirement. A few things that I've learned about Mrs. Davis over the years. She is an avid gardener, and her yard is a testament to her great thumb. She may look polished here, but just picture her in waders in a stream, fly fishing, because she can. She loves her fur babies, and we all should be as cared for as her sweet puppies. And finding her family. I have asked her husband of 52 years, Mike Davis, and we did invite their daughter Heather to be with us today, as they were here when she was sworn in. To me, this is handing off to the people who have allowed us to have her as part of our family for the past 8 years, and return her solely to them. With great appreciation for the time that they have sacrificed for her to serve. I started my presentation with the fact that we are honoring her service. So I would like to conclude with that same sentiment. For Mrs. Davis, I would highlight the definition, contribution to the welfare of others. And I believe that that is what you have done your entire career. So I thank you personally for all that you have done. And Mike for sharing her with us. Okay. Thank you. If you'd like to say anything, it's your time. It's been my pleasure. This district, these many years. When my first year of teaching started, I was told my husband was in the Air Force, and we would only be here 1 year. That's a stretch. Fortunately, we've been here all these years, loved the community, loved the people, and I loved the kids. I feel lucky to have a wonderful family, the school district that I love, and it's good to be part of something that you're proud of. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mike, for dedicating your time as well. We appreciate it. Oh, and flowers, my favorite.
We also have a video that was submitted by Granite Hills High School Great Academy. So I'm going to load that one up next to play for her.
Oh, well, he's singers.
On behalf of Granite Hills and the Great Academy, we'd like to sing a very special song for a very special lady, Miss Donna Davis. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Who cares about the clouds when we're together? Just sing a song and bring the sunny weather. Happy trails to you till we meet again. Till we meet
Good.
Well, that was wonderful.
Okay. We'll be going into closed session. We need to go into closed session to discuss the following. Number 1, public employee discipline, dismissal, release, reassignment, transfer, leave, title, certificated and classified employees. Public employee appointments, resignation, retirement, reduction, title, certificated and classified employees. Conference on litigation. Government Code Section 54956.9A. Current litigation, 5 cases. CIVDS 1813952. CIVDS 1907172. CIVDS 1937043, CIVDS 2011183, CIVDS 2022956, Government Code Section 54954.5C and 54956.9D2 and E1. Anticipated litigation, 3 cases, 2018-19, 07, 2019-20, 07, 2020-21, 01. Conference with labor negotiator, agency negotiator Dustin Conrad, employee organization Apple Valley Unified Teachers Association. Conference with labor negotiator, agency negotiator Dustin Conrad, employee organization California Schools Employees Association. Conference with labor negotiator, agency negotiator Rick Raleigh and Dennis K. Bender, board members. B, employee organization unrepresented superintendent employment contract, Government Code Section 54957.6. And I ask for a motion to go into closed session.
So move.
Second it.
I'll
Who's
second it.
second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we go to closed session.
Okay, I'm going to open the closed session rooms. You'll see a pop-up that says, would you like to join? When you see that, click the join button.
If anyone has any trouble, let me know. I'll come over. Just click join breakout room. It should be in blue.
I clicked on it. It doesn't seem to be working.
Okay,
See ya.
Kylie will be right there. She'll help you join.
Thank you.
I don't think it's not a touch screen she's on, I don't think.
Oh, it's,
You have to move the mouse over.
Let me see.
I hit,
Let me see. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and have you join.
All right, perfect. All right, Mr. Bender, do you see it on your screen?
Yeah, I've hit it 12 times.
Join breakout room, just the words on the bottom right of that box. Black breakout rooms box.
Yeah. It's a whiskey bottle.
No, bottom right.
The glass. Breakout room.
Should say the host has invited you to join a breakout room.
All right, Kylie will be right there. She'll click it.
I hit join. I hit the breakout room.
Okay, she's coming.
You make it in the breakout room. Let me see.
Yeah, I hit the blue join. Now I hit the breakout room down here.
Oh, it's because this one has this trackpad.
Okay, we'll jump in.
So are we jumping in?
Maybe I should ask her.
Everyone's in except, yeah, everyone's in except you two. Oh, I know what you're, never mind.
Let's go ahead and go in and then,
Once he is in, she'll let us know when to join.
okay, gotcha. Okay, are you going to open a second room, Jason?
Yes, I'm moving you there now.
Thank you.
So I'll go to waiting. I'll join waiting.
Oh, I see it. Okay.
Pat, what are we doing?
Join the waiting room.
Yeah, how do I get there?
You didn't see a,
No, I didn't get a pop-up.
on the bottom, do you see breakout rooms?
Yeah,
Click on the breakout rooms.
Yeah.
Go to the 4 by waiting and click on join.
gotcha.
Okay, I think we're all in and ready to get a backdrop of a United States flag. And if you want to be heard during the pledge, you'll have to unmute.
Calling the meeting to order. Donna, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Can we hear her?
We just need to unmute Miss Davis.
Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I did it twice.
Let's do it once more.
Okay, and I'm flagless except for this one.
Okay, there you go.
Pledge allegiance
Allegiance
To the
to the
flag.
flag of
United
the
States
United States
of
of
America,
America
to the
and to the
republic
republic
for
for which it stands,
one
One
one nation,
under
under
God,
God, indivisible,
with liberty,
with liberty
and justice for all.
and justice for all.
Oh,
Thank you, Donna. Student reports, Granite Hills High School, Erin Forget.
Evening, board members, Superintendent Nelson, and attendees. Before I begin my speech, I would like to wish Miss Donna Davis a happy retirement on behalf of everyone at Granite Hills. We wish you safe travels and nothing but the best. You will be dearly missed. To continue on with my usual update though, I hope you all had an excellent and safe Thanksgiving break. Since our return, Granite has been very busy as the semester will soon come to an end. With finals week rapidly approaching, ASB has planned many events to help alleviate any stress that students might be feeling. The first event will be a virtual Spirit Week, hosted the same week as all of our finals. The days will range from showing off ugly sweaters to getting cozy in onesies. We expect a great turnout, similar to those we've received in the past. We also have an art contest we'll be announcing next week. We can't wait to showcase our student body's talent when the contest concludes, so we wanted you to be the first to hear about it. ASB also plans to spend winter break planning many more events for when we return. We hope to carry the wonderful spirit of this semester into the new year. While we are talking about ASB's hard work though, we cannot ignore the hard work of the rest of the student body. As finals are getting closer, our students have been studying hard and doing everything in their power to ensure they finish this semester strong. Our phenomenal tutoring center has done a great job of helping students in any way they can. We anticipate an excellent academic conclusion to this semester. Everyone's hard work has made our approaching winter break seem even more deserved. We know our students will spend the break resting and preparing for the new year. We hope that all of you will do the same and enjoy a healthy holiday season. Thank you all for your time this evening. Enjoy the rest of your year. And always remember, maroon and gray lead the way.
Thank you so much, Erin. Apple Valley High School, Mazel Sia.
Hello, esteemed board members. First and foremost, I would like to thank Ms. Davis for her time serving as president of the Board of Trustees and wish her a happy retirement. November was an eventful month for Apple Valley High School. Counselors have been reaching out to students to help with mental health and help seniors with college applications. They have been holding workshops to prepare students for their futures. Our ASB held a successful canned food drive to help families in need for Thanksgiving. We received over 100 canned foods and 5 turkeys. ASB has also been doing student shoutouts on our social media accounts to promote school spirit and raise morale. Clubs and groups have been holding restaurant fundraisers to continue raising money during distance learning. More clubs are working on rechartering and electing officers. HOSA, Camp, and Graphics had a digital poster making contest. HOSA also made hand washing graphics and posted them on their newsletter. Mock Trial has been competing virtually, and our newspaper held a mock election. Cheer filmed a Christmas video, and our Sensations and Vocal Motion choirs have been preparing for their virtual holiday theater show in collaboration with the Sandia Choir. This Friday, we are having a Bring Your Pet to Zoom Day, as well as a Cutest Pet contest where students and teachers will participate. ASB is also holding a toy drive for the holidays. As you can see, AVHS has been doing all they can to be there for our students and make virtual learning more enjoyable. Thank you for your time. And remember, Sun Devil pride is contagious.
Thank you, Ms. Sear. Kylie, do we have a report from the CSEA?
Give me one moment so I can pull that screen up. I do not believe so, but I would like to confirm that nothing came through since. We do not have a report from CSEA today.
Do we have a report from AVUTA?
We do not have a report from VUTA either.
Okay. Closed session report. In closed session, the Board of Trustees took action in support of the following recommendations from the superintendent. B2, public employee appointment, resignation, retirement, reduction. On a motion by Maria Okpara, seconded by Donna Davis, of a vote 5-0, the Board of Trustees approved the following. Appoint Stephanie White as elementary principal with ASB Phoenix Academy, range 14, column 1, on the certificated management salary schedule. 205 base duty days, effective December 11, 2020.
Ms. Okpara, normally we would have Miss Stephanie White in our audience and stand. So I just would like to congratulate her since she's not here in person for us to do that. I know she's watching.
Congratulations, Stephanie. Thank you. We'll come out and see you when the campus is open.
Yeah.
Adoption of the agenda. The board may approve the agenda as is or add and/or pull items from the consent agenda for discussion and/or action. We need to adopt the agenda as is. Who's making the vote?
As is,
Okay, so Mr. Bender is yes.
yes.
Who's seconding? Who's seconding?
I did, Raleigh.
Mr. Raleigh, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have a 5-0. Recognition presentation to recognize Mrs. Donna Davis, outgoing board president, by Mrs. Trinae Nelson.
Today, we honor Ms. Donna Davis for her service these past 4 years as an Apple Valley Unified School District board member. Today marks the end of her second term and 8 years of service. Although our meeting is virtual, I wanted to do this presentation in front of the other trustees, even if it can only be their pictures. Some history. We wanted to be accurate with our information, so we reached out to Victor Union High School District and personnel specialist, Ms. Adriana Jones, who she with Victor Union High School. Mary Davis retired. She asked that we say hello from her. Mrs. Davis began her teaching in September of 1973 with the Victor Union High School District. She was fondly recalled during our board meetings teaching on this very property, Apple Valley Junior High, prior to Apple Valley becoming a unified school district. She has shared wonderful stories about some of our most prominent Apple Valley citizens and how she taught them or disciplined them during those early years. But I will keep their anonymity for this presentation. Mrs. Davis retired on June 30th, 2001, after 38 years of serving as a teacher and union president. Many people who retire from education fail at retirement, so it is no surprise that less than a year later, she was filing candidacy papers and was later elected to the Apple Valley Unified School District Board of Trustees, serving her first term from 2012 to 2016. She was re-elected for her second term in 2016. During her terms, she has served as the board clerk and board president twice. It is customary in Apple Valley Unified School District to honor the board president at the end of their year of service in that role. I would like to present Mrs. Davis with this plaque. Service as this last year's board president. Maybe you can use it as a doorstop in your motorhome, as you do what people who are good at retirement do, travel. A few things that I've learned about Mrs. Davis over the years. She is an avid gardener, and her yard is a testament to her green thumb. She may look polished here, but just picture her in waders in a stream, fly fishing, because she can and does. She loves her fur babies, and we all should be as cared for as her sweet puppies. And finally, her family. I have asked her husband of 52 years, Mike Davis, and we did invite their daughter, Heather, to be with us today, as they were here when she was sworn in. To me, this is handing off to the people who have allowed us to have her as part of our family for the past 8 years, and return her solely to them. With great appreciation for the time that they have sacrificed for her to serve. I started my presentation with the fact that we are honoring her service. So I would like to conclude with that same sentiment. For Mrs. Davis, I would highlight the definition, contribution to the welfare of others. And I believe that that is what you have done your entire career. So I thank you personally for all that you have done. And Mike for sharing her with us. Thank you. Thank you. If you'd like to say anything, it's your time. It has been my pleasure. This district, these many years. When my first year of teaching started, I was told my husband Air Force, that we would only be here 1 year. That's a stretch. Fortunately, we've been here all these years, loved the community, loved the people, and I loved the kids. I feel lucky to have a wonderful family, the school district that I love, and it's good to be part of something that you're proud of. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mike, for dedicating your time as well. We appreciate it. Oh, and flowers, my favorite.
We also have a video that was submitted to us by the Great Academy at Granite Hills High School, so I'm going to play that now.
On behalf of Granite Hills and the Great Academy, we'd like to sing a very special song for a very special lady, Miss Donna Davis.
I'll touch everything.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Who cares about the clouds when we're together? Just sing a song and bring the sunny weather. Happy trails to you. till we meet again, till we meet again.
Thank you so much, Granite Hills. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Kylie, do we have any public comments?
We have no public comments.
Superintendent's comments?
I just want to appreciate the group that came together yesterday under the direction of Matt Schlosser doing the budget workshop, budget committee. And there was quite a group that came together, and I look forward to hearing how those go in the future. I will be, I have some conflicts on some of the dates, so I will be updated, and I know it's in great hands. And the other thing that I would like to at this point share is that I have been elected to SANDABS for the High Desert group. And so I will serve this next year on SANDABS along with another superintendent in the High Desert. And then we are doing COVID testing as required by the state under our waiver. And that'll begin next week. So you as board members might get emails at some point for an invite as well, because you're part of the alpha list, and we are going alphabetically, and those are for those will take place in the parking lot of the stadium, so that and their drive-through. So we'll get going on that, and I'll talk about our closure at the end of the board meeting in the final comments. Okay.
Board comments? Mr. So?
I have a couple brief comments. When Ms. Nelson mentioned she's stepping into SANDABS, I'm stepping out of SANDABS, because even though I will continue to be involved, because I've served on SANDABS since 2013, that's for 8 years, and I'm kind of term out. And I was not happy with the CSBA annual conference, but I was able to attend all 3 general sessions. And so later on, actually, I just want to point out that the state's staff projected the economy is not going to be, it's going to be rosy for the first 2 years, but it can be quite a bit of setback in about 2, 3, 4 years from now. So we need to be very careful when we look at the budget in the next year. Okay, that's all I have.
Mr. Bender?
I have one thing. I would implore the people in the area to go to YouTube and watch the special on St. Mary's Hospital and how they've been just swamped with COVID patients, and how they have a tent out front and they've converted rooms, and that they've reached the max. It's a good article. It's a video.
Mr. Raleigh?
Yes, I'm going to take, excuse me. I take this time to thank Donna for her service. It was an honor to get to know Donna over the last 2 years. I didn't really know her until I was brought onto the board here, and I really respected her opinion. And what Trinae said here a minute ago was her contributions to others, and Donna really lived up to that statement. And I appreciate your time and your courtesy while I've been on this board, and wish you the best in any future endeavors. You did mention that Mike has the motorhome running in the driveway right now. So that's just great that you have something to really look forward to. But then again, Donna, thanks for your service to the district and to the kids and to the people of the town of Apple Valley. Thank you.
I'd like to add to my comment, Donna, I want to thank you for the big heart that you have. You're all about kids. And Mike, that motorhome's not going to go as fast as that F4.
All right, it's my turn. I'd like to start out by thanking Donna for her friendship. When I joined the board, I had no idea what I was stepping into, but you made it easy for me to step in, and you served as big sister throughout this whole this time that I've been here. You actually got me excited about learning how to do fly fishing. So I'm kind of looking forward to my first time of ever doing fly fishing, because I've never done any kind of outdoor sports like that. I'm also going to take this time to thank Matt Schulenberg, not Schlosser, to bringing us together to do our, bringing us together to talk about budget. I thought that was a really good group of people that you pulled together to have that conversation. I'm also looking forward to hearing about how the district is navigating this COVID that is spreading as too rapidly for my liking, and how it's going to affect us along the way. I thank all of you for all of what you do. You know, we hear the teachers are doing great work, the students are doing great work, the support staff are doing great work. And sometimes we don't have enough time to thank them for their good work. Just so you know, we appreciate every one of you for what you do.
Very good.
Ms. Davis.
Well, I would like to thank all my fellow board members. What a hardworking team. I've never felt like there was any controversy between any of us. It's more like a family. I've got to tell you, I grew old with this district. I started years and years ago, and I love teaching here, and I love being on the board. I can't thank you guys enough, and especially Trinae. She's gone out of her way to make this transition easy for whoever is coming down the pike to take my place. I feel good about it. Thank you so much for all of you. You've
we'll
been
miss you too.
special.
Thank you, Donna.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
We have to go back to F, which is the presentation for the first interim.
It was not highlighted.
My bad, and I will not introduce him as Matt Schlosser. I will introduce him as Matt Schulenberg.
Okay, presentation.
Compliment to me.
2020, Matt Schulenberg.
Thank you. Give me a second. I'm going to share my screen with you. I do have a presentation. So let me get that going. Okay. This is our update to the board on our first interim financials. So you do have a copy of this presentation at your station. I included that with the materials, so you can follow along there or follow along on the screen. First off, I just want to remind everybody, the board and everybody watching, that this is one of our interim reporting periods. It does certify the financial condition of the district for the current year and the 2 subsequent years, utilizing our current assumptions. This, of course, is our first interim. So this is a snapshot of our financials as of October 31st. So please understand that financials have changed since then, but this is an October 31st update. And of course, when the board approves the agenda item later on in the consent package, that is sent down to the county for their review and comment. As part of that, of course, we have our multi-year projections, which we do adjust based on our 1920 unaudited actuals, posting of any carryover from 1920, and of course, any revenue and expenditure adjustments since budget adoption, which there have been some. There are 3 certifications possible in an interim report: a positive stating that the district will meet the obligations for the reporting period, and then a qualified, the district may not, and the negative, the district will not meet. And you can see some reporting numbers. Those are qualified and negative certifications in those reporting years, first interim, throughout the state of California. So not high numbers, but just a piece of data that I wanted to share with the board. We will be filing a positive certification, which of course means that we project we will meet all of our financial obligations utilizing our current assumptions through June 30th of 2023. And we do use a little bit of information, of course, the state adopted budget. We follow the recommendations based on the school services dartboard. For COLA projections, the San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools common message, and of course use the Fiscal Crisis Management Assistance Team LCFF calculator in generating our LCFF revenue estimates. We have made some adjustments from budget adoption to first interim, so this highlights some of the major adjustments. You could see that first section, our funded ADA at budget adoption. We were projecting a P2 ADA, funded ADA this year of about 12,587. So we adjusted that based on the ADA hold harmless due to the COVID pandemic that the legislators put into the Budget Act for the 2021 year. So that holds us at 12,610 for this year. You look down below, unfortunately, our enrollment is trending approximately 400 kids lower this year. So 2021-22, you see we are still budgeting at a 12,610 ADA because in a declining enrollment environment, we get the previous year's ADA. So we believe at this point the legislature will allow us to use the 2021 ADA as our 21-22 ADA and continue that trend. The question does arise in 22-23. If our enrollment in ADA does not rebound in 21-22, we may face an adjustment in the 22-23 year to more accurately reflect our funded ADA or our actual P2 ADA, depending on what that number is. So we are definitely going to have to be watchful and monitor that very closely as we move through this year and next year. Some other assumptions you'll see at our budget adoption, the target grant. We had a 2.31% COLA with a 10% COLA deficit when we adopted our budget. And that was based on the governor's May revision. If you recall, when we build our budget, we start out with the governor's January budget proposal. And in January of 2020, the state was moving along at a wonderful economic recovery. There was all sorts of revenue flowing into the state. And then March hit. The May revise, we were faced with, yes, getting the COLA, but then a big cut. But if you look at the first interim adjustments, what's happened this year is the legislature approved a zero COLA, but unfortunately, they put on several $1 billion worth of deferrals to school districts. And that is very significant to us. I'll talk about that in a little more detail later. That significantly affects our cash flow. In 21-22 and 22-23, we have adjusted our COLA to zero based on school services recommendations. So we are really faced with flat LCFF funding over this year and the next 2 years. In 2021, our assumptions, of course, is our LCF revenue. I talked a little bit about that. We have fairly consistent restricted revenues. We did see a lot of inflow of COVID-19 relief funds from both the federal and the state government, the CARES Act, and some other state funds. And of course, we do carry over, the carryover is budgeted, specifically deferred revenue programs. Title I is a great example of a deferred revenue program. We get an allocation in a certain year and we don't receive that revenue unless we spend that money. So if we don't spend it, the allocation is actually deferred into the next year so we can move the revenue over. Of course, that does move with corresponding expenditures in those restricted programs. Expenditures, we budget for step and column increases. We are budgeting expenses related to COVID-19 relief, STRS and PERS contribution rates for our employee retirement programs. And of course, we budget carryover on the expense side in those deferred revenue programs to balance the revenue that was budgeted. But of course, we also do budget carryover allocations on our restricted ending balance programs and some of our unrestricted funding. As we move into 21-22, of course, I mentioned LCF revenue stays flat. We're budgeting consistent categorical revenues. But the big thing you'll see when we move to 21-22, that COVID-19 relief funding that we received the current year is all one-time funding. So of course, we have to remove that revenue in our ongoing multi-year projection because as of October 31st, our assumption is we're not getting more. And you'll see the list of expenditures. Of course, we budget for step and column increases for our employees, their retirement contributions, a certain assumed attrition on our certificated side. We also, in our multi-year projection, as I mentioned at budget adoption, have assumed some light item reductions in the 2021-22 school year. We have budgeted for possible addition. I'm sorry, I should say COVID. That's a spelling error. My apologies. COVID-19 expenses. We do adjust one-time expenditures, and we use a inflator of about 1.5% on our operating costs. 22-23, again, flat LCFF revenue and consistent categoricals. And again, since we make the majority of our expenditure adjustments in 21-22, we don't see a lot of adjustments in the 22-23 year, except for the step and column, and of course the retirement contributions on behalf of our employees, as those percentages change as we move through this multi-year projection. So this is some numbers to go along with those assumptions I just discussed. You'll notice our LCFF sources at adopted was about 125.2 million. That included the COLA and the 10% reduction. So when the COLA was taken out and that 10% reduction was restored, we're flat compared to last year at about 135.3 million in terms of our LCFF. In our federal revenues, you see an increase. We assumed some of that COVID relief for the federal revenue at budget adoption, and that changed as we moved after budget adoption. Same with the other state revenue. Those also reflect budgeting some of that deferred revenue programs I spoke of earlier. Other local revenue. So you'll see our total revenue went up about $18 million, a little over 18 million, mainly due to the restoration of the LCFF and some additional COVID relief funds that were not budgeted at adopted. On the expenditure side, you can see the huge variance between adopted and first interim in the books and supplies, and that is primarily related to COVID relief efforts and those funds that flowed in. Weren't sure what we were going to spend all of that on at adopted, but we then identified many of those items as we moved into first interim and have made the majority of those expenditures, because a great majority of that COVID relief money had to be spent by December 30th. And these, of course, you'll see the updated financials in second interim as of January 31st. Again, just to remind the board, this is a look back to October 31st. So down at the bottom, you see our expenditures went up from 161 to 180, accounting for that COVID relief expenses. And also some of those deferred revenues had corresponding expenditures budgeted as we moved from adopted to first interim. So this is just a summary, looking at what our adopted budget looked like to our first interim. We are currently projecting an ending fund balance of a little over $16 million on an approximately a $4 million deficit spend for the current fiscal year. This is just a breakdown of the multi-year projection. This is the unrestricted side. You'll see our revenues and expenses, and we actually start out with an excess on the unrestricted side in the current year until we make our contribution to restricted programs. The majority of that contribution falls into our special education programs, and you'll see a deficiency on the unrestricted side of almost $9 million. So you'll see that reflected in our ending fund balance. As we move through 21-22 and 22-23, you'll see our revenues are flat, our expenditures go down in 21-22. As I mentioned, we had in our multi-year projection some line item reductions built in, and that's reflecting those mainly on the unrestricted side of the budget. So you'll see we actually have a slight surplus in 21-22, but we are back to a deficit in 22-23 because of step and column and STRS and PERS increases in the out years. On the restricted side, this is where I'm going to use a technical term. It got really wonky with all that federal and state relief funding. You'll see a big deficiency, but that contribution kind of balances it out in the current year. We actually have a excess restricted balance in the current year, but the majority of that 6.6 million you see in the ending fund balance for the 2021 school year is COVID relief funding that it does not expire in the current year. So we're not assuming we're spending all of it. That funding expires in the 21-22 school year, so we have a little more time to spend that money. And in fact, in 21-22, you'll see with that 5 million deficit, we are assuming the expense of the remainder of that COVID-19 relief and bringing our ending fund balance back down to about $1.6 million, which makes it a little more consistent. And you'll see 22-23, we have our restricted side of the budget balanced with a deficit of $22,000 on $49 million in expenses. So this is a quick combined picture. I'll just bring your attention to the deficit spending trend we're looking at. 4 million this year, 3 million next, and 1.1 in the third year. Our ending fund balance does deteriorate from 20 million down to approximately 11.8 using our current assumptions as we work through this multi-year. Some of our components, we do meet our 3% required reserve. That's that number down there on the bottom, 5.4 million in the current year. And you might ask why that reduces 600,000. That's because the 3% required reserve is based on our expenditures. And we are looking at reduced expenditures in the 21-22 school year. Hence, that 3% does get lower. And cash. I mentioned earlier about our cash deferrals. And this is really where we're hit with our cash position. It is declining in our district. It's negatively affected by that projected deficit spending. A higher reserve allows us to maintain a cash position, and spending down that reserve does require some borrowing. We are also negatively affected by the education protection account in our cash flow because the EPA monies are paid quarterly. And of course, the deferrals I mentioned. We had a slight deferral of our June into July. That wasn't too major this last June of 20 to July 20, but we have some major cash deferrals we're faced with beginning in February all the way through June. And you'll see I do mention a TRAN, a tax revenue anticipation note. We already did take out a TRAN at the beginning of this fiscal year to cover some cash shortages in the fall. And we are taking out a cross fiscal year TRAN this spring. We're anticipating the funding of that TRAN in late January, early February. And we are currently working with the financial advisor through the CSBA TRAN pool. And we are estimating that we have to borrow somewhere between $32 and $35 million to cover our cash deferrals throughout spring. Now, those deferrals will be paid back in July, August, September, October, and November, and we will pay back that TRAN that time while possibly taking out another TRAN if the state institutes or keeps these deferrals as we move through this multi-year projection. So I do anticipate we are in an environment where Apple Valley Unified will be borrowing cash on an annual basis. Depending on the timing of the deferrals and if the governor and the legislature determines to suspend or reduce those deferrals. So some highlights and concerns for the future. Again, the January budget proposal is coming. What's the governor going to do? How will the LCFF continue to evolve? COVID-19 and just the question marks related to the current pandemic and the situation we're in. We are currently showing an enrollment decline, which of course does hurt our ADA, but we do have a hold harmless for this year, as I mentioned. And if we continue to decline, we do believe that hold harmless will apply through next year. And the COLA, we are following school services recommends a 0% planning COLA in our current year and our multi-years. So just some milestones coming up. Again, I mentioned the budget proposal, second interim financials as of January 31st. You will see me in front of you again in March with that presentation. And then of course the May revision, and we come to our estimated actuals as we're preparing our adopted budget for next fiscal year, 21-22. And of course the conundrum in June, we will be adopting our budget prior to the state adopting their budget. So we always do have to come back in August and make some of those adjustments. And then of course in September, we will close our current fiscal year with our unaudited actuals, and then we'll adjust our 21-22 budget based on those UAs. Does anybody have any questions I can address?
Matt, just real brief. You know, the schools have been closed down now going on almost a year. And I know the majority of the budget goes to benefits and salary, but has there been any significant savings due to the closures with the buses not running and, you know, fuel costs, maintenance costs on vehicles? And utility costs and stuff. Is there any significant impacts to the budget in a positive way?
There are impacts, Mr. Raleigh, absolutely. There's utility impacts because we're not running as many lights or HVAC systems. And there is a savings in our transportation department based on fuel use. So as we move through the year and we align our expenditures in our budget, we look at the trends. So those are adjustments we're constantly making that are reflected in the budget documents. And of course, will be updated as we move into January. And you'll see, you don't see those specific adjustments, but the aggregate financial numbers that I will present in January will contain those continued adjustments on the expenditure side to bring us as close as we can to what we believe we're actually going to spend for the year.
Okay, thanks. And then you mentioned enrollment's down. How far has it been down, and what are the kids' parents putting them into some of the private schools? Is that the loss?
Well, Mr. Raleigh, I don't know where the parents are putting it. Perhaps Mr. Schlosser can address that, enrollments in his department, but we are down about 400 kids from last year at this time. So.
Okay, I just curious what the number was.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question regarding the COVID funds. Are you allowed to use the COVID funds for things like the capital outlay, or is that just for something else? Can we use it for whatever the district wants to do to benefit the students, including capital outlay?
Certain capital outlay projects are acceptable with some of the COVID relief funds if you're installing additional temporary classrooms, outdoor structures that would serve as outdoor classrooms, anything related to continuing to deliver instruction to students. Capital facilities would qualify.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to point out that the state's attempt continues of the deferral. It has a tremendous impact on our finance, though. The
deferrals do have a significant impact on our cash flow. As I mentioned, we're anticipating borrowing about between $32–35 million this spring to offset those cash deferrals to ensure that we can pay our employees and pay our bills.
The 400 students that we don't see anymore, are they just missing in action, or did they move out of the area? Do you have any idea?
Speak to that briefly. Mr. Bender and also Mr. Raleigh, you kind of asked this. We do try to get a sense of where students are if the family, if we're in contact with them. And so we have had some that we have had difficulty finding. Some have moved to different school systems. Not so much private, but definitely a couple have moved into the charter system at the high school level. And some students have left the area. So we are finding that some are leaving California. So it is a blend of things. To be honest with you, it's been more difficult this year than normal to just get a sense from families to find out where they're going. Good. So this has been a tough effort for the enrollment department to just track down where they're going. And to be honest, school sites are in that same pickle too.
Thank you.
And we do have fewer students enrolled in kindergarten because parents weren't motivated to send their students to a remote kindergarten experience. So that grade level in particular is low. We think a good number of those students will come back to an in-person setting for first grade next year.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, we go back to item I, discussion action session. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees discuss and take action on the following items. Number 1, approve the certificated and classified personnel action as listed. Do you want me to read all of them and then we vote all in one, or do you want to vote individually?
Let's all vote for it all at the same time.
You have to actually on these, because they're discussion action, you have to pause on each one. They can't be taken as a group. So if anybody has questions, this is the time, and then each one will have its own vote.
Okay.
Any question on it?
No.
Okay, anybody voting for it and seconding? Approve the certificated and classified personnel action as listed.
I move the item.
Okay, so Rick is.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Approve the requested leaves as noted.
So move.
Okay.
Second. Second.
Yeah, I heard that. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Approve the STEP program redesignation as the Achieve program.
If I could, before you vote on this one, if I can give a brief little bit of background, I have just a couple of things to share that we thought were very important before you took action on this. Would you mind?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Thank you. I'll be brief, but we wanted to celebrate this as an important effort driven by students and a very passionate teacher. The Achieve program and their request to change is actually right now, as of up until today, known as the STEP program. And that program has, it was actually started here and named here. That STEP program exists at Granite Hills High School, Phoenix Academy, and Yuckaloma Elementary across a number of grade levels. And it stands for Students, I think, Transitioning Education Program. And so the students are served there, are designated for the program, and the goals are to transition them back into either the regular education program just for some part of the day or all of the day, but also, of course, to make sure they're successful. The problem with the name is it had inadvertent connotations, right? The idea of a STEP program or a STEP child makes it sound as though they're in some way not part of the family completely. Or at least it could be viewed as that. And right next door, in some cases, there's a program called the Success Program, which has, right, that word success has such a positive connotation. Well, little known to us, these students took this very personally. And they asked their teacher, why are we called this? And so she asked us, Ms. Wright at Granite Hills High School asked, and we couldn't come up with a great reason why it had to be called the STEP program. So the students said, couldn't we name ourselves something different? And so right away, Mr. Wheeler from the Student Services Division and his team, and under the guidance really of Trinae, said, yeah, let's talk about that. And so the students drove a process, and they came up with this name, Achieve, which stands for Academic Challenges, Helping Individuals Expand Values and Education. And let me tell you, this is exactly what happens in these programs. If you were to visit these rooms, when we can visit these rooms again, you will see students who are absolutely being challenged to reach their greatest potential with adults who are surrounding them and caring for them in a family manner. It's a wonderful program, and Achieve is a perfect name. But it wasn't perfectly easy to get there. I'll show you a picture of the room where it happened. They put me at the board on that day, and they absolutely had ideas. They wanted to debate. They had lots of different ideas that we narrowed down to a couple and finally landed on Achieve. This all actually started last year, and we kind of got this rolling, and then kind of had to work our way through a process to narrow the names down. And then right when March came, we were about to bring this to you, and so we kind of put pause on that because we wanted to make sure we had a chance to speak to all the teachers in the program. All of them are in favor of this change in name. There's some students who have since graduated that we will contact and tell them that they were part of an important process, but I wanted to celebrate with you and let you know what this is. This is more than just the change of a name. This is a representation of what children, young adults can do when they advocate for themselves and when they know adults around them believe in them. And so that's just kind of the background. I'll stop sharing now and let you vote on the item. But this is one of those things that's just such a joy to be a part of. Thank you.
Thank you so much for explaining that to us one more time. Thank you. So approve the STEP program redesignation as the Achieve program. Okay, Mr. So, who's second?
Second. Second.
I heard. Thank you. Thank
Sorry.
you, Ms. Davis. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Approve the amended contract for employment of the superintendent to include the following. Contract Section 1, offer the effective date of the contract will change as follows. From July 1, 2019 through June 30, 2023, to change to July 1, 2020 through July 30th, 2024. Contract Section 2, salary 2% increase to the superintendent's salary. From effective July 1, 2019, the superintendent's annual salary shall be $210,000 effective July 1, 2020. The superintendent's annual salary shall be $214,710,000 effective July 1, 2021. The annual salary shall increase to $219,420 to effective July 1, 2019. The superintendent's annual salary shall be $214,200 effective July 1, 2020. The superintendent's annual salary shall be $219,004.20 effective July 1, 2021. The annual salary shall increase to $223,808.40. Contract Section 9, termination of contract language was amended with addition to supermajority vote of at least 4 members as a requirement under non-renewal of the contract by the board and termination of contract by board without cause.
I make a motion that we approve the amended contract of the superintendent.
I'll second.
I'll second that with a comment.
Okay, good, Rick.
So this contract for the 2% increase goes retro back to July 1st of 2019. And the other numbers reflected in the contract are step increases built into the actual contract itself. And with that said, I'll second the item.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent item. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees consider approving a number of consent items as a consent list. Consent items are routine in nature and can be enacted in one motion without further discussion. This procedure conserves meeting time for a full discussion of significant issues. Consent items to be approved in one motion are 1 all the way to 28, 1 through 28.
I move the items 1 through 28 for approval, consent.
Good. I'll
Second.
second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We have approved the minutes. Was this supposed to be one of those I also go through?
We didn't put in.
The minutes of the November 5th? That's all of them, never mind.
Yeah.
If, let's go. Kylie, do we have any public comments?
We do not have any public comments.
Okay, superintendent comments?
I mentioned that I would talk about closure at the end. And one of the things I would like to tell you is that you knew that we had reverted to distance learning for our waiver students. TK through 6th grade were attending in person part-time. This week, we met with the teachers that were running our cohort model. These were the teachers that came forward in late September and pushed very hard to have their students back because these are our exceptional needs students. They asked for us to consider keeping those kids in place. And we felt like that was a few weeks back, obviously, they were worried we were going to close them along with the waiver students. Because of the data that Mr. Bender mentioned, the video from St. Mary's, my daily updates from the CEO at St. Mary's, I could not with good conscience lead this district to stay open with those students in person with other people. We have to take the consideration of the hospital beds, the spread of COVID right now, our numbers increased dramatically after the break because people did gather outside of work. And we want to make sure that we move into this winter break better prepared. We have noticed our public that we will remain on distance learning and will not reconsider this until minimum January 19th. That's a Tuesday because Martin Luther King Day is January 18th. And we will keep you updated. We don't have any predictability to this at this point. And so we will just watch the numbers and keep our board informed, as well as our staff and our families. There is no good answer for this, right? Like on a same day, I can get a complaint that they want their child in school because there is no virus. And somebody else calling to tell me that I'm responsible for everybody that gets COVID. And I take those calls and I talk to those people, and this is what we have to do right now. Our teachers and staff all did an amazing job of putting those kiddos in seats and supporting them, and they will continue to do it from afar. We are asking as many people as possible over the course of the next few weeks to work from home when feasible and appropriate. We want everybody to be safe. We have, this time of year, families that are in need, and we have Spark of Love going on this property. Our family center coordinators are working collaboratively. They've scheduled appointments with families, and they're working through that process. And it is, I know Zoe did some coverage of it today, our public information officer, so it's on our website. And then finally, I just would like to, again, publicly thank Mrs. Davis for her service. Service is one of those things that people don't really understand. When you become an elected official, you aren't just giving of your time, you're giving of your soul, because you are spending all of your energy around helping to organize and run a district of our size, which is an amazing feat. So for each of you that serve in a trustee role, it's far beyond what the public actually sees. And I just appreciate Mrs. Davis for the 8 years of service and her always keeping us laughing and the stories that she's told us. So we hope you all the best and wish you and Mike all the best in retirement. I'm so glad that he is retiring ahead of you and that you're going to now join him. Everybody be safe over break.
Mr. Bender?
No.
Mr. So it's Mr. So first.
Okay, I don't have any further comment. I just wish everybody stay safe and have a good Christmas.
Thank you.
We'll see each other on the 17th.
Next week. Mr. Bender? Mr. Bender?
I have no additional comments.
Mr. Raleigh?
Nothing. Thank you.
And it's me, Maria. My next comment is regarding the COVID-19 and what we are doing in our district. I'm curious about the protection that we have for our staff, especially for our classified personnel. I'm kind of curious about, when they come on campus, what kind of protection that they have when they do arrive on campus. Is the protocol the same throughout the district to make sure that they have the temperature checks and all of that? Are they really required to be on campus? If the teachers are teaching from home, do they need to be on that campus to be able to navigate the system? So I'm curious about, usually I talk about the certificated, but today I'm actually about the classified, because I want to be sure that we speak on their behalf as well. And I'm also interested in knowing how teachers get contacted when there's an outbreak that affects them directly. If there's a student that they have had contact with, how soon do they get to know about it? Or do they figure it out on their own? What is the protocol in letting the teachers know that somebody in their classroom or within their school family has been exposed, so that they will know how to handle that. Before I go on, I don't know, this is, I'm going to wait because I need to add one more thing to make sure that you include it in our next board meeting. Is this a time for it?
Yeah.
Yeah. For our next board meeting, I would like to see a presentation put out before we go to our first closed session for our next board meeting on the Brown Act. If it is possible, Ms. Nelson, if you can arrange for that so that we will get that out before we go to our first closed session for our next board meeting.
I will do that. Can I have clarification? The statement you made about the teachers notification directly about any COVID positive or classified staff and the need to work on campus. If I can quickly address classified, and then I think it would be best if we have a presentation for you at our January board meeting, a comprehensive presentation that walks you through what the steps are within the district to support people in notification. We are working through what I had mentioned as far as the next several weeks, how we will deal with our classified staff members. Teachers, some of them have chosen to work in their classrooms, even though they are distance learning. We will still allow access. We are trying to limit the access of contact, meaning people to, more people in the same room. So what we are working through is the need for people like paraeducators on campus. Is there a requirement for them to be there? That is what we had been doing, but moving forward, if there is a way for them to work from home and it is appropriate for their particular classroom, then that is what we are working with. We asked all of our site administrators and directors yesterday to spend time working through a plan of how to support staff and limit the contacts. So I can update you in a written update before the break, so that you understand who's working from home and who's not, okay?
Thank you very much.
And yes, on the future item, got it.
Thank you very much.
If I can jump in a bit about the COVID-19 protection. I share with some friends that I spent 2 hours watching over a presentation by 20 different doctors in the Northeast area. And what they point out is that, yeah, by all means, we should continue with all the safety procedures that with the masks. But what they are saying is that until the individuals, all Americans get the vaccine inoculations, the mask is only a symbol of protection, but it's not really protecting the virus. What they are talking about is that this particular virus, think about the size, is 1/10 of the diameter of a human hair. That's how small it is. It can penetrate through the holes. Until we get the vaccine, get the body resistance against this particular virus, we're not really going to control it. So I think we need to maybe continue to stay in contact with the county health to see when our frontline people can get the vaccine. What are they willing to take the vaccine? That's become another challenge for our superintendent and staff.
And I'm sorry, but just so that I can update you on that as well, we are considered stage 2 for any vaccine. Stage 1 is identified as a broken, 2 separate stages. It's a stage 1A and a stage 1B. I am in contact with the Department of Public Health regarding this, and we will update you when we have further information. FDA will be taking some action, we believe, on the 14th of December. We'll have more information, and then they predict for educators closer to March before the vaccine would be available.
Okay.
Ms. Davis?
Well, it's just been a wonderful ride. I just can't believe so much time has passed. And you just can't believe that you have so much fun in front of me now. And I will miss everybody here, but I'm going to try my best to enjoy my retirement to the max. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's time to close the board meeting. Anybody has anything they need to add before we close?
We will be posting the board meeting for December 17th on Monday to allow for the 72-hour posting. So you will be receiving that on Monday.
Okay. Do you have any future items other than the presentation we need for the next board meeting? No.
Is there anything to sign, Kylie, at the end of this here?
There will be some documents that need signatures, so if everybody can stay put, I will bring them all around so everybody can have a chance to sign those.
Do you know where we are, Kylie? Do you know the rooms we're sitting in? Can you find all of us?
I will find you.
All right.
First.
Now, can we move to adjourn the meeting?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.